Hello, friends. Robert Babin here, author of the Caverns and Creatures series of comedy, fantasy novels, and short stories. And with me is Sam West. Today, we're going to be talking about the spell Compelled Duel. All right, Sam, from my understanding, let me read the description of the spell. You pull out your dick and you say to a person, does this smell more like your mom or like the hobo that lives in the dumpster behind the 7-Eleven? Yes?
Honestly, that's a more effective version of this spell, what you just described.
I'm sorry, I must have misread it. What does
Nope, no, listen. Compelled Duel, I'm sure the readers at home and the viewers at home can read it. This spell is supposed to be like a taunting challenge, right? To say like, oh, I'm gonna only hit you and you're only gonna hit me, and we're gonna do that through the mechanics of a spell. You just demonstrated with what was an incredibly stupid joke that I loved, was that you can just
Sam, this is my livelihood.
I'm aware.
No, I don't think you are. I don't think you've read my books.
I've read the first chapter of the first book.
Right.
I have. I understand the territory we're talking in. And honest to God, that kind of the kind of taunt is almost, at least at my tables, way more effective than a wisdom saving throw ever will be. Really getting on a creature's NPC's nerves to get them to attack you and goad you is something that we have the ability to do in a role-playing game. Compelled Duel feels like you ripped it straight out of World of Warcraft. It feels like you ripped it straight out of Path of Exile. And God, those games just, some mechanics don't translate over. And this is certainly one that is the case.
Let me before we move on with that. I have never played 4th edition. Have you?
Sure. I have not. Well, that's not true. I played it for like 2 sessions a long time ago with someone that didn't know the rules.
One of the criticisms I've heard is it was trying to be more like these the video games. Mm-hmm. Is this a similar thing here?
So from my understanding, and this is not entirely like, this isn't catch-all, people have their entirely valid and different complaints about it. I believe what happened was they printed a bunch of content and they homogenized a bunch of stuff so that all the classes looked kind of the same. So like, whereas in 5th edition, it's very similar to 3rd edition, where you have the full casters and there are a giant list of spells that you customize whatever wizard you want. And then the rogues have one option they pick after 5th level. They gave it basically so everyone had different spells and different options. They got every level. Everyone got choices at every level. It was a very big shift from 3.5. It was a very big shift. They used a lot of gamist language. They used a lot of, and when I say gamist language, I mean like, where in 5th edition, they write out and explain what everything is. In 4th edition, they had keywords that were for everything. They had a bunch of different symbols to represent how things worked. There were, like, as opposed to having long rests be 8 hours of in-game time, there was just spells you could use once per encounter. Honestly, a lot of the things that they designed that for were designed for web play, for playing online, which it definitely would have been useful whenever 2020 came and hit. They were just a little bit ahead of the curve, I think, in a lot of ways. There have been a lot of people, like Matt Quovel's a big D&D name that's come out recently, been like, 4th edition's actually great and you should all go play it. The game does a lot of things well. It does a lot of things that's just trying to sell books very clearly. This has its problems. I don't think this specific instance of it, though, of it trying to be more like World of Warcraft is like that.
All right, then let's get back on track.
Okay. 4th edition ran aside. Okay, Compelled Duel, the objective of it, right, is to get something to hit you. If you're spending
or get something to come at you.
Yes. If you're not even necessarily, because
you don't want them to hit you
towards you. You don't want them to hit you, but they have disadvantage on hitting anyone else.
Yeah.
So they're incentivized to hit you, right? Like let's walk through the casting of a Compelled Duel. All right, you see a hill giant that's running at your cleric, and you're like, that's a bad idea. I don't want him to hit the cleric, I want him to hit me. So you Compelled Duel him. He fails the wisdom saving throw. Turns to you, takes his club, attacks you twice. If either of them hit, sometimes the Compelled Duel goes away and all you managed to do was what words could have done better, right? All you managed to do was what good positioning could have done better. And that is get something to attack you. You're not wasting any of its actions. You're not really forcing it to do anything. If it still really wants to hit the cleric, you can still just make the attacks at disadvantage. But you're like trying to attempt to get it to do a thing.
Yeah.
If it passes the wisdom saving throw, it does nothing at all. If it's not within 30 feet of you, it does nothing at all. This is, oh God. They're really like, every part of the spell also is equal and opposite to them, right? So whenever you cast the spell, you can't attack any other creature or it ends. If you attack something other than the compelled target, the spell is over. You spent a spell slot to do nothing. If you ever have to flexibly hit something else, spell's over. If the creature attempts to move out of 30 feet of you, the spell might end. They get a save immediately when they attempt to do that. And if they pass the save, the spell is over and they can move on and do whatever they please. They also just have the ability to kick the crap out of you until you drop concentration, which, I mean, again, is kind of in their best interest anyway. There isn't a moment where in casting of this spell, you're getting resources, you're getting actions from the enemy, you're getting things that you'd want to normally be getting advantage of in 5th edition combat when casting it. Every single part of it is just, I want them to take a slightly different route to success, and it's going to cost me the flexibility of being able to do different things. And that truly sucks. Like, that is really bad.
Well, all right. The way I'm viewing it is you're trading your own flexibility for theirs.
That you're already trading a 1st level spell slot for their flexibility. Should you also be trading your own flexibility?
Well, I don't know. I'm just thinking there are probably instances, and I don't think they come up often, but I think there are probably instances where this is useful. I can't think of any off the top of my head.
Yeah. So, okay, like, I think the vast majority of encounters what they're going to end up looking like, especially in the low tiers of play, especially whenever you're looking either with newer DMs or like not super experienced DMs or DMs that are attacking the players from all angles. What's going to happen is you're going to have a marching order like everyone does through dungeons most of the time, right? The paladin's going to be at the front, which means that when the things run to attack the group, they're going to probably be mainly attacking the paladin. Okay, that's sort of your job. Paladins are already great at having a high AC, high damage in combat punchiness, right? They're great at slashing things with their greatsword. You could spend 2d8, you could spend a spell slot to do 2d8 radiant damage to the thing that's attacking the cleric, or you could try to get the thing attacking the cleric to attack you. Which of those sounds more useful in getting the thing to attack you? A wisdom saving throw that it could pass, or hitting it for 2d8 damage plus weapon attack, plus 2d6 plus 3, right?
Yeah. All right. Yes. However, all right, take this scenario. You cast this at the hill giant.
Okay.
Your buddies are all lined up in a column in front of you. So the hill giant now can attack any of them with disadvantage because they're not attacking you, or he could run up to attack you through the gauntlet of people who are getting opportunity attacks.
So you are trading your ability to attack it at all, because that means you aren't within range of it. So you're spending a bonus action to cast this on it, and then not spending your action attacking it all for the potential to get it.
Well, this is a bonus action?
Yes.
Well, then you can still attack it with something
But then
else.
he can attack you and it doesn't have to move. So
you can attack it with something ranged?
Which is not really what Paladin's known for. If you're playing the ranged Compelled Duel Paladin, this is only 30 feet, which means you still have to be within 30 feet of it. So
whatever.
That's not
all right, even without attacking it, if you can get it to run through a gauntlet of your friends who are all getting opportunity attacks, I don't know.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to do that. It can just attack your friends.
Yeah, with disadvantage.
Which is still not that bad, right? Like, that still isn't, you're still not attacking it, which means you're trading your attacks for it to get disadvantage on those attack rolls and a 1st level spell slot, and you can't really move anywhere, and you can't really attack other things, right? Like, all of those downsides then compile. Unless you're like the ranged paladin build, which technically exist, but are bad because, from my understanding, Divine Smite has to be on melee weapons. So, like, all of the things you'd want to be using your spell.
Well, I mean, there are, you could ranged attack it, or you could cast a different spell or something. This is
you can't unfortunately cast 2 1st level or higher spells in the same round if one of them is your bonus action.
Wait, you can't do what?
If you were to cast this as your bonus action, you cannot cast a spell of 1st level or higher that turn.
Really? I didn't know that. Anyway, still.
No, you're valiantly defending this one.
Yeah,
I'm convinced you're wrong.
I'm gonna hold my ground on this one.
Do it. Let's do it. Even in the example that you just painted, right? Even in this picture perfect scenario, you have to have a party that is predominantly martial to hope to be in front of you. You have to not care about all of your power.
All right, but you wouldn't, if they weren't, you wouldn't cast this.
Right. But even if they are, let's say you are in Magical Christmas Land. Let's say you have a barbarian, a monk, and a fighter in the party, and they're all up at the hill giant. and you are the paladin that is using Compelled Duel. You've become a support character that only has access to imposing disadvantage on attack rolls. Vicious Mockery can do that, probably as good, and also does damage and comes with Bard's Bardic Inspiration. So shouldn't you just be playing a Bard at that point? Because this is definitely just worse than that.
I'm not saying this is something to use every turn. I'm saying it has its place, and I see it.
I think that if you are casting the spell, the windows in which it is good is at the upper tiers where you're putting it on the single white dragon, the single red dragon that you really don't want to maul somebody and try to get it to burn legendary resistance, right? This can be a bonus action to attempt to get it to do something stupid. I think that's where it's better. It doesn't prevent them from casting spells. It doesn't prevent them from doing area of effect features like breath weapons. It doesn't prevent people from doing anything else meaningful or interesting. If it's
all right, what level of spell is this?
This is only a first level spell. It does have a very
there
low
you
cost.
go. I don't need it to do all that.
Sure.
First level spell.
I don't think there's a point in time in the game where you're particularly happy to cast this. I do think if you were to cast
I think there are plenty.
I think you might. I think that like as you reading it and conceiving of imposing disadvantage on attack rolls seems useful. The cost is really high. It is really, really high. And so oftentimes, even in encounters where you're not going, because the cost isn't just the bonus action spell slot. The cost is also your positioning. The cost is also the conceit that it might still just hit you like it normally would have. The number of encounters you're playing as a paladin where you're in the middle of things or intending to be in the middle of things, this spell just doesn't have text. Like, there are going to be so few instances, I think, Bob, where you're going to be in a scenario where you have the perfect party composition that's all going to be making the most out of this. It just doesn't realistically happen. This spell doesn't have realistic cases where it's used. It has fun hypotheticals of this could be imposing disadvantage on all their attack rolls, or it could just immediately end and nothing happens and you're sad.
Yeah, well, that's the difference, again, between you and me. You're all about reality, and I'm all about fun hypotheticals.
Sure. Okay. I can live with that.
All right. You give this a Sam score, and I'm going to give it at least 2 higher.
Great. Then you're giving it a 3 because this is a 1. This spell's
oh
awful.
shit! No,
This
I'm
spell's
giving it a 4.
trash. You're better off not
I'm
spending a spell slot on
I'm a
this than you are
believer in
spending a
this
spell
one.
slot on this.
All right. 1 from 1. Jesus
This spell is
Christ.
unusably bad.
All right. Well, we will see.
Bob, I'm going to run a game for you. You can play a paladin. You're going to take Compelled Duel, and I'm going to see how many times you cast
Fuck
it.
yeah, I am. All right. That was Compelled Duel. Thank you, Sam. And thank you, everyone, for listening and watching. We'll see you next time. Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, informative, or entertaining, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button below. You needn't smash it. A gentle tap will suffice. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to the channel. And make sure you check out the links in the description, where you'll find my Caverns Creatures series of comedy fantasy novels, Sam's full review of the spell, and other fun things.